Without wasting any time, let's get into today's video. Today I'm going to talk about the correlation between the Japanese culture and Soto culture in fashion. No, it's not a reach. I have receipts to back it up. I'm kidding. Japanese culture has such a rich, well-documented philosophies when it comes to consuming fashion, and when it comes to creating fashion, and when it comes to perceiving fashion in general. Wabi-sabi is one of those philosophies. It involves appreciating and finding beauty in imperfection, and also in the impermanence, and also in the natural aging process of garments and material. This philosophy encourages the use of natural material, minimalistic design, and also the acceptance of wear and tear. And this is such a huge contrast when you compare to how fast fashion is always in pursuit of newness and flawlessness. This is something that Basotho culture doesn't seem to concern themselves with. They don't concern themselves with newness and also flawlessness. Basotho people has a very interesting way of engaging with fashion. There's this undeniable evidence of allowing clothes to go through the natural cycle of life in a way that life permits. You will never see them presenting themselves in a way that suggests that they have just acquired a new outfit. In most cases, that seems to be off center. That seems to be something that they don't concern themselves with. They seem to concern themselves with showing up as they are, and also understanding that clothes are part of you. They're part of the story that you hold and possess and are trying to tell to the world. So therefore, you do not create illusions on that, and you do not always have to constantly hide or conceal your story. One of the key principles in Wabi-sabi is embracing imperfections. Instead of hiding or masking faded colors, minor flaws, Wabi-sabi celebrates them as evidence of garments, life, and story. And this is the same way that Sotho people seem to show up in the world. Whenever a photographer asks to take a picture, they don't say, "Can I please change my pants so that I can wear something more presentable?" They show up in a way that they would show up on a daily basis, because the garments themselves are a part of them, and they don't need to create another spectacle beyond what they show up in the world with on a daily basis. When you look at them, you get the story that life in the mountain is harsh. There is grueling days of labor that does not allow them to be in a state of constant good condition. It allows their clothes to go through wear and tear. It allows them to live a life where they don't have to concern themselves with preserving the clothes, but understand that clothes are used as a tool to either protection, embellishment, expression, or to tell a story about who they are. And how do you tell a story if you're constantly having to hide who you are, or what you've been through, or how you've been through that, or the marks that life has left on you and the clothes that you wear? Wabi-sabi embraces their imperfection. It appreciates transience that happens, the philosophy that recognizes that nothing lasts forever, and it should be accepted, and it should be an admiration on our part to understand and to go through the natural cycle of decay and change in fabrics and materials. Because of this, life becomes about finding something that you love, preserving it as much as you can possible, allowing it to tell your story, and being comfortable in it, and being able to function within it, and being less concerned about keeping it in good condition, because life happens as we move on a daily basis. So to keep something in good condition does not comply with the natural way in which life goes. A rock that is exposed to water begins to bear the marks of that water as it runs down each and every day, a decade after that, 20 years after that. And when you go back and look at that rock, you're going to find that the rock has taken a different form and a different shape and a different look. And it now bears the story of what has been happening over a period of 20 years since you left it there. And this is the same way that Basotho people tends to look at clothes. They don't try to preserve them. They wear them and allow those clothes to go through life with them and to allow them to tell their stories and to also embrace life as it happens. Looking at Basotho culture, there's this wish that you seem to have that I wish this was more of a way that our culture showed up in the world and told the stories through, because there's this thing that we try to do of always presenting the new and the flawlessness about our cultures that doesn't allow us to tell rich stories, deep stories of people that don't have much to show up for on a daily basis and are living life as it is, as raw as it is. Basotho blankets like Siana Marena and also Sefate Liponi are blankets that are a huge part of Basotho culture. They are almost used in a celebratory manner. Most of the time when they are used in their new and good condition, as opposed to the condition where they have to go through the cycle of life. They are part of the garments that tell someone that there's a new journey ahead. We are celebrating something. So therefore, there's this aesthetic that goes with them that requires newness and flawlessness with it. Kobo Etukwa is different. Kobo Etukwa is manufactured by a render company, just like all the Sotho blankets that we seem to find in the market today. It is a very simple gray colored blanket that has few stripes with no graphics. It is made up of 40% wool and 60% recycled polyester. And looking at Wabi Sabi, it embraces simplicity and also natural materials. Wabi Sabi favors minimalistic design and also the use of fabrics like linen and cotton and wool. Most importantly, wool. Because these materials age beautifully and are more sustainable, it is something that is embraced within the Japanese culture. And this is the same material that is used in Basotho culture. Almost all the blankets are used within the Basotho culture are composed of some form of wool, and less of them use recycled polyester, which is more philosophies that tends to hold the Japanese culture of sustainability and also using more of natural fibers. Because Kobo Etukwa is made up of 40% wool and 60% recycled polyester, it makes it one of the cheapest blankets in the market, and it doesn't have assigned celebratory meaning, so therefore it can be worn on daily basis as a functional blanket as opposed to a celebratory blanket. Kobo Etukwa is often worn for its amazing insulation properties, and it is starting to shape what we are as the people because of its commonality, because of how it's worn, because of its functionality, as opposed to us wearing it to celebrate something or to highlight something or to highlight the transitioning of a young boy into his manhood or a young woman into her womanhood. It is often worn on daily basis, and it goes through a cycle where it cannot be preserved or it cannot be kept in good condition, because whenever a person wakes up, they need to put it on, especially in the winter months where it's snowing in the mountain and it's cold. And because of its functionality, there is less focus to keep it in good condition. Instead, it is used as a very functional tool on daily basis. And because of that, it has taken a new meaning and it forms a huge part of culture and how it expresses itself. And it is almost like the more wear and tear the blanket has, the more it tells your story, the more it defines you, the more it tells people who you are. And the more you hold it closer to your heart as this thing that holds your history, that holds your memories. Wabi-sabi doesn't concern itself with keeping things in good condition. That is not the aesthetic that it seems to go for. And this is the same thing when it comes to Basotho culture. It does not concern itself with keeping things in good condition. That's why you will see men wearing their pants with holes, women wearing their dresses with holes and also tearing and also leaving the aging marks on them, discoloration that happens to the clothes when you wear them for a long period of time. And this is the image that you tend to see every single time when you look at Basotho people. When you look at Basotho people, you tend to see history more than you would see the concern to keep things in good conditions or to keep things preserved. There's evidence of fraying, there's evidence of discoloration and everything else that comes when a garment goes through the natural process of life. And you see the evidence of decaying itself and the fabric and the shortening of the garment if it was longer, because the fibers tend to fray and disintegrate over time. And the less concern to keep it the way that it was when it was first acquired. Kobo etokwa and how Basotho people tend to wear their clothing is the embodiment of wabi-sabi. And this brings us to another philosophy that seems to be embraced by the Japanese people, and that philosophy is sashiko. Sashiko is a form of hand embroidery of using a simple running stitch to repair, reinforce, decorate the fabric, and also tell a story through graphics created through stitching. It is almost as if clothes are this blank canvas that you can do anything, or you can decorate in any way that you like. In a way, Basotho culture embraces this through the gray blanket called Kobo etokwa, because they use this blanket to draw anything that they want, to tell a story, to engrave any words that they want to or want to say out loud or wants to express for the world to hear. And in a way, these are the things that you first engage with whenever you look at them. So these things, they tell their story. These are the things that they would like you to see the minute you lay your eyes on them. These are the things that they would like you to pick up whenever you try and engage with them in any kind of way. They tell you what they want to say through that. And this practice is used to express and to, in a way, own a garment and make it yours, because there will be no other one like that one. So it's a form of self-expression that no one can take from you. And so this is that point where Sotho cultural way of engaging with fashion interlinks with Japanese culture, which is sashiko, the use of hand embroidery to create or to demonstrate whatever you want to demonstrate, or to express yourself in the way that you want to express yourself. This practice is done using wool again, because this is one of the reasons why I go back to saying that there's so much correlation between Japanese culture and Basotho culture, because in a way, Sotho culture, in a way that it consumes or it creates fashion, it's always consuming natural fibers, natural fibers that decay with time. And so whenever this embroidery is done on these blankets, it is using wool as a material to stitch their geometrical patterns that they want to put on the blankets themselves, or it is used to say whatever words that they want to express, or it is used to draw whatever it is that they want to draw, whatever holds a significant value to them to be able to put on the blankets. They are able to do that. And fashion is the expression of identity, and it connects us to the rest of the world, and it tells a story about who we are. And in a way, I think Basotho have embraced some of these philosophies without even knowing that they are embracing them. And there's so much in common that Japanese culture has with Basotho people, and the way that they look at fashion and the way that they consume fashion. And it's undeniable whenever I dig deep and try to figure out the core concepts that are embraced within these two different cultures. And so the correlation is there, and it might be there within different cultures as well. And these two cultures are so unexpected and so far apart from different worlds, but there's something about the way that they consume fashion that brings them together and make the philosophies of the other culture relatable to the other culture as well. And the message is clear: find your own clothes, preserve them, and making sure that you adorn them and you decorate them in a way that tells your story, in a way that has a meaning for you, in a way that preserves you, in a way that expresses who you are, and also allowing them to go through the natural cycle of life, and understanding that clothes don't offer us a status. Clothes are supposed to tell us a story about who you are, where you come from, and where you are going. And that there's a way of consuming fashion in general in a way that is deep and philosophical and has some sort of a deep sense of meaning for us. So that we're not buying clothes as this thing that we just put on to look trendy and then throw away. For us to understand that we can use clothing as a tool to tell the world about who we are. And so therefore, it is admirable to see that Japanese philosophies are so relatable to other cultures in the world. And one of those cultures being Basotho culture. Because when you look into the grand scheme of things, you can see that these two cultures share so much in common when it comes to the way that they look at fashion and how they consume it. And I think the cultures like this, the Japanese culture, have figured out a way to preserve and archive their philosophies, and other cultures can tell their stories through them or find relatability within these philosophies. So let your garments evolve gracefully and naturally pass through time without assigning status to it. Embellish and mend them so that the world can look at the clothes and don't have to struggle much to define you as a person, or at least have a starting point as to who you are. And that's my take on the correlation between the Japanese culture and Basotho culture in fashion. I hope you can take away something from this. And if you did have something to say or learn something, please leave a comment in the comment section. Please don't forget to press a like and also a subscribe button, and also hit the bell notification button. And until then, please drink water, read something. Yeah, adios.